Could build on trust and name could trust when it comes to all things reactions. Listen, if my voice sounds a bit congested, I'm a bit under the weather in it, so get me. However, forget all that. I want you to hit the subscribe button, turn on your post notifications. Shout out to returning subscribers. You already see the title. We're on to episode 2 of Sean Combs' The Reckoning. This one is on basically Tupac and Biggie. Deep it. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I've watched every single episode, but I haven't reacted to every single episode. So, you know, I've reacted to episode 1 now, but now we're going to react to episode 2. Hopefully, I won't be as long as I was last time. So I'm trying not to delay. So anyway, before we get into that, the title is called "What Goes Down Must Come Up." All right. Now, I say what, and it also stars. So basically, as Puffy embraces the celebrity lifestyle, he feels a dangerous rivalry with, that record label, and questions linger about the situation of Tupac. But which situation? The one in 94 or the one in 96? Or both? You never know. But the fact that that is there in the description as the synopsis is incredible. It literally is incredible. So it stars obviously Diddy come, well, obviously footage from him anyway. And then William Lassane, which is Tupac's cousin, and Mark Curry, who was signed to Bad Boys Entertainment. All right, William Lassane is Tupac's cousin, just so you know. He was in the first episode. Now we're gonna continue doing what we did last time. So I need to get my earbuds. All right. And basically, I will have to watch it without I'm gonna have to watch the whole documentary, the second episode, like I did with the previous one, just to avoid the copyright situation. So shout out to everyone who's rocking with this, because at the end of the day, I have to react to this. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I have to react to it. So yeah, let's just get straight into it. Let's see what this is saying. I mean, properly, because obviously I watched it, but I didn't really understand properly. Anyway, let's go. So it starts out with, the more it starts is off how it ended with the previous one, which says, in 2025, Sean Combs was tried in a federal court on charges including RICO, trafficking, and violation of the Mann Act. He was convicted on 2 counts of transportation to engage in under the Mann Act and acquitted of the remaining charges. He was sentenced to 50 months in prison with time served. And it's just ironic 50 months, 50 cents. Is his rival. I say rival, but anyway, let's keep it moving. Yeah, man. Okay, let's sing happy birthday. Let's do it. All right, so boom. So singing happy birthday. So it was Diddy's birthday, or Sean Combs' birthday, on the 4th of November, a party in 1994 on the 4th of November. And one thing I do know, even before when I first watched this, when I even reacted to this now, I know that Tupac was at this event. That's one, and I know this because I saw an image of Tupac being there. Do you understand? This was before the Quad Studios situation in the same year, on the 30th of November 1994. So isn't it interesting how timeline timeline matters? This is why this documentary so far is looking from an unbiased perspective. There's no narrative being pushed, and maybe I could be wrong. Again, I don't know it all, but I could be wrong. You know what I mean? But it just seemed like it's showing a proper timeline of situations. That's all. You know what I mean? Let's go. That's a video. We got Roland Ballroom, New York City. Okay. You know what? I was trying to do my own documentary type of style, and I wanted to include. They were in because Biggie and Tupac were together. I say together. They were in the same area. They were at basically Roseland Ballroom, New York City, but it happened to be in because I was getting discrepancies between July 1994 and you know what I mean on August 1994, but in actual fact it literally was in November 1994, which makes more sense. That's interesting how one of them things mentioned that is that he looked at, at Sean Combs as someone who was just a rich Harlem cat that wanted to just dance to make money, basically. No balance in him. That anytime he turned around, there's violence. And, yeah, and violence is really okay. Okay. I think we just word for word, yeah? There's violence. 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 Makes sense. More things than good, yeah, makes sense. Because think about it. That Pop was very threatened by Pop. Like, think about it. Logically, yeah, what does. But then, because Mo Preem also did admit that there was a time when Tupac was possibly going to sign to Bad Boy. And if you look at the timeline, it kind of makes sense. But if his cousin is saying, you know, mess with him like that, you know what I'm saying? Maybe it's because of the conversation Biggie was having with Tupac. Because I remember Mo Green did mention, again, this was in his interview on the Art of the Dialogue platform, that he did mention that Puff was doing him dirty. So no wonder Tupac didn't want to work with Puff, because like, if you're doing him dirty, you're going to end up doing me dirty the same way. So let's keep moving. Yeah. November 3rd, 1994. There you go. Mark Curry even admits it. So I don't know why Little Sean was always acting nervous, like it wasn't a boundary, it wasn't this, it wasn't that. Like Galvin, man, it's obvious. Tupac said he was going to the recording studio to do a song with Little Sean. You don't know this guy, but you know what I mean. If you and even if you look at the timeline, I'll get into it another day for another subject here. But he needed the money. He literally Tupac needed the money. Wait, hang on, wait. I don't mean nothing. Anyway, we'll discuss it another time for another subject. But the point is he went to the recording studio to work with Lil Sean. In fact, no, yeah, he did need the money because Lil Sean had to pay him to be on the song. He needed the money because he was going through a lot of lawsuits. If you know, you know, because there was that situation happening. I think was in Marine City. Then there was another situation. Then he had a situation with the off-duty police officers as well. You know what I mean? Like he had a lot of legal fees to handle. And then obviously, I think there was a point when he couldn't like actually perform. So obviously that obviously gonna mess up his cash flow. It makes sense. Otherwise, he's Little Sean. Why would you want to? You know what I mean? So Little Sean, yeah, like listen, I'm just calling it for what I see it as. So I'm not saying he set him up. I'm not saying that. I'm saying based on timeline of events, that's what it looks like it happened. And I don't feel like Tupac has a reason to lie. If Mark Curry is now saying it, what are you gonna say to Mark Curry? What, he's lying? Come on, man. Because if you see the interviews with, I think the one was with Drink Champs. Then there was another one with Matt Hoffa with what's the name of his podcast again? Yeah, there's that, but he just seems a bit nervous, like he's hiding something. That's how it looks, and I could be wrong because perception is everything, but perception can sometimes be not what reality is. You know what I mean? Someone can look nervous and scary or whatever, but more time they're not scary or nervous. It's just got social anxiety. Anyway, I'm gonna rewind that. Hold on. I can't afford it now. It's audio this, you know. And that's the thing. I get it. Sometimes if you're waiting on someone and someone seems like they're delayed and they're making you wait. It's like I get it. You want to find out where they're at. That's one thing. But to keep on at this time paging them, like relax. But then I get it. Studio time. You're paying for time, and time is money, literally. So I understand it in that sense. But if you're just keep on paging the way, just if they're saying it on the way, relax. Do your verse, and then when you're done with your verse, you can go home. And then obviously when you know what I mean? Like I get it, sometimes you need that synergy when you're working with a whole together, but I don't know man, let's keep it real. Let's go. No. Time out. You know what I mean? Time out. VAR. Hmm. I wonder I don't know if I can do this because I don't know if it's gonna because you know why I'm saying time out, yeah? Because there is a time where he literally discussed. It's like maybe I can do it because there's a time where Little Steve discussed the situation in regards to the question situation. He said he was scared. I I could be wrong, and I'm gonna actually see if I can find it. I could be wrong. This is one that you can actually see. The other one you won't be able to see, but this one you should be able to see. Yeah. Um, like I'm pretty certain of it. Yeah. I'm pretty sure certain of it. Give me a second. Um, it's like I probably will take out the audio. Take out the. Hold on. All right. So, where do I go from here? So basically, I'll type in. What was it? Okay. So Little C's Quad Studios. Like I'm pretty certain his explanation was completely different. I'm pretty sure of it. And ain't it funny? See, no Sean. Listen. Let me take off these headsets and speak the earbud first because I want you guys to hear this. I the Netflix, we've got to be very vigilant. I don't want to use this guy's thing, but I'm gonna probably here. All right.
That's you? I said, yeah. I said, what you doing? He said, I'm coming up where y'all at. And we was on the side block. The studio was on.
Okay, so let's rewind it here, yeah. We'll get back into the documentary, but this is important because we got to match up the wording. Like, what's going on?
We was working on the project in the studio, first Junior Mafia session we ever had. We in the studio recording. I'm smoking the blunt on the terrace with Nino Brown. I seen Tupac walking down the block. I yelled for him because I knew him. I've been hanging out with him. I called his name. He looked up, asked who it was. I told him it was me. He was like, Lil C's, that's you? I said, yeah. I said, what you doing? He said, I'm coming up where y'all at. And we was on the side block. The studio was on the main block. So I was telling him to come to the corner and come around, and I'm going to come downstairs to come get you. I go in the room and I tell Big, yo, Big, Pac is downstairs. He was like, yo, go grab him for me. I'm going to go get him. I get in the elevator with Nino. Before I can get down there, Nino heard some pops go off before we even got downstairs. He asked me, did I hear that? I'm like, I don't hear shit. Because I just wanted to smoke weed with Tupac, because I know he had some good Cali weed. And when I got downstairs, a bunch of grown-ass men was like laid on the floor. Like, while the door was open and they laid out on the floor. I'm thinking they playing, because we would play like that sometimes. And before I could step out the elevator, two dudes came from both sides, pointed guns at me and Nino, told us to get back in the elevator. I got back in the elevator, went upstairs and told Big, yo, Big, Pac him downstairs getting robbed.
Okay, to some degree, some elements of the information he's saying is, well, some parts of the story he's saying is the same thing. But on the other hand, he didn't mention he heard gunshots before. In the other thing, in the in the documentary, he's not mentioning that. He didn't even mention Nino, whoever his name is. So what are we saying there? What's the real truth? And I'll give him a little blight only because, yeah, he's young at the time. And sometimes when you're young, there's certain things you think I don't know. No, I'm not going to give him a blight. It's what it is. So he clearly knew what was, I don't know. How you giving two different stories?
I'm dead serious. He got up and told all the little guys, y'all stay here, don't move, I'll be back. Big wound up staying down there for about 15, 20 minutes, and we started getting nervous for him, and all of us just started going downstairs. And every time we go downstairs.
So let me get it straight. You got two guys with guns, or blams, whatever you want to call them, and then they tell you to get into the elevator. They don't even rob you. This is the thing. They come to rob you. You telling me they only came to rob Tupac? Does this even make any sense? Anyone that is about to rob someone or going to rob someone, they will rob everyone there. They're not going to rob just one individual. Let's make that make sense. Listen. We ain't gonna play the rest of this. We're gonna get back into this documentary, but it's very, very clear that there is an agenda. Do you understand? There's an agenda. Like, if you're gonna tell the truth, tell the truth. If you're gonna tell the story all the way. Like, or not story, but if you're gonna tell the facts of the details of what happened that night, and you were there, then tell it as it is. Don't miss out any details. And if you're doing a documentary and they're asking you these questions, yeah, and they're asking you these questions, then clearly you have to put yourself in the perspective of like, listen, I want you to make sure every single detail of what I say is done correctly. And before you publish that in that documentary, I need to see the final edits, because there ain't no way you're going to make me seem like one way or the other. Like, the truth must be shown. Simple and plain. Because to me, that I'm not saying they're two different stories. He didn't elaborate on what happened, nor did he even mention beforehand that he heard
like gunshots happening beforehand. That's what I'm saying. But anyway, let's just get back into this documentary. Let's get back the earbuds on. I hate that I have to do it this way. I really do. I really do.
It was, we're only 2 minutes into the episode. Hang on.
I'm turning the post notifications. Listen, reacting to episode 2 of Strong Combs The Reckoning. Yeah, man. And the episode title is called What Goes.
So yeah, this is just into it. Exactly. What did they need to have 20,000 on the election? Yeah. Awesome, so, back. I think that's it. If he believes Park was involved or Sean Combs, he believes so. And he said, if you've seen that Vibe interview, he's like, he's not like, yeah, he's very adamant that he believes so. He's got reason to believe so. It's not like he's being disillusioned or anything like that. It logically makes sense. He's involved. That, think about it. I'm going to repeat the same question again, or in similar context, right? If when it comes to robbing someone, yeah, I'm not like, if you think about it, obviously movies aside, TV shows aside, whatever, but like if someone robs someone, they're clearly going to rob a group of people. Basically. I'll give you an example. Even though like I mentioned it's a TV show, yeah, Power. In the original Power series, the episode of where they were in the club crew and Ghost and also um Lorenz Tate, you know, the guy that Tupac got. Anyway, that's for another day for another subject. But anyway, with that said, he basically got. If you think about it, in that episode, basically that person was robbing everyone, everyone. Now, obviously, it was a setup, but again, even if that was a setup, and they still made it to make it seem like it wasn't a setup, guess what happened? He made him. Anyway, you can watch the episode in your own time, but the point I'm trying to make is robbers don't rob and leave one thing. You know what I mean? Or it's not just one thing, but they don't just rob one person. I'm trying not to pause it much because obviously I get to episode 3 and episode 4. By telling the first episode, let's go. If I overtalk, I overtalk. Here's what it is. 6 days before Storm comes to rest. Oh, so he had a building in New York, one of his office buildings in New York, and it got knocked down. I mean, respectfully, if you no longer own the building, or you no longer rent the building, or that's that's not a stand for anything. That's literally what it is. The person who now owns the right to that land or that building has the right to do what. Well, let's just say land. They have the right to do what they want to do with that land. You get it? That's just unfortunate fact. But I say unfortunate, but you never know what comes to that. Maybe the Free Child Project. You know, you know. Anyway, let's go. Respectfully, William Lassane, I don't think it's about how that's what I think about how to get to that situation. It's a case of it's more of the case of not how, but holding himself accountable for every deed, that bad deed he has done, and every evil deed he has done. Because the reality of life is you have, no matter what you've done in life, you have to live with the consequences of the decisions you make. Good, right, or otherwise. You know what I mean? Good, bad, or otherwise. It's what it is. So it's not, you know what I mean? Him thinking how did, I mean, obviously, yeah, he was definitely thinking at that time how to get out of this. Even when he's in jail, he's still probably thinking how to get out of this. You know what I mean? But hey, listen, it comes a time where sometimes, some people have to sit down in jail to realize, oh, this is where they're really at in life, and deal with reality. You know what I mean? Let's go. Oh, wow, me was in the video as well. I didn't know that. So basically, Kurt Burrows just basically admitted that there's been some. Alright, so basically, I don't want to be graphic because he was very graphic, but he basically said he bought Sean Connery buzzed him in to the office, and basically a girl or not a woman or girl whatever was giving him, you know what I mean, DJ, and then basically after a while, Kurt Burrows asked him, "What did you want me for?" He said nothing. He just wanted to. Kurt Burrows believed he just wanted him to do that. Tell the real story. You know what I'm saying? Tell the real story. What really happened? Maybe that did happen, but come on, man. Okay, so for the future, but you co-signed. How you can say he got away with these things because well, I'm not saying that, but he's saying the seeds were planted because people in the industry allowed them to get away with a lot of things because they were co-signing. But by you seeing that act in the office, you also co-signed. I'm gonna call a spade a spade. I will call a spade, and you co-founded the organization as well. So let's think about it now, because you could have easily just said, "Hey, listen, none of that, none of that, none of that. If you want to do that, do it in private time, leisure, at home, hotel. You know what I mean? But in the office where we work, nah, none of that, none of that, none of that. Do you get it? But anyway, okay, all right. So basically, what Tim Dog, who is his friend from childhood, is or someone he grew up with, well, his friend from childhood, is saying that he gave a day in the life of Sean Combs around that time, especially during the Bad Boy era. It's like, well, the early days of Bad Boy Entertainment. It's like he gets up 2 hours later to office, people want to sign an autograph, and people are calling from jail, wanting a demo, give him a demo, and other people want to give him a demo. So basically saying Sean Combs is the gateway to music. I understand that perspective, but that doesn't necessarily make that an excuse. You get it? Like I get it. Yes, he's because of the success of Craig Mack, the success of Biggie, the success of Faith Evans, the success of Total. Do you understand? Like and it's obviously Mary J. Blige and Jodeci were part of Uptown Records, but like the success of those artists, yes, one can understand that perspective of being that person to go to. You know what I mean? However, it doesn't make that person the only person to go to get into the music industry. So the point I'm trying to make is you can't make excuses for this guy. There's no excuses. But if he's seen it that way, that he has that power and that control, and it makes him feel like that power and control, he can use it and abuse it, that's on him. Question, leave it out to the comment section below. Let me know. And hit the subscribe button, turn on the post notifications, yeah? If you had all that power and all that money and that control, yeah, and people were coming to you for things, you know what I mean, that you're in power and control of, are you going to abuse that power, that level of power? Leave your answer in the comment section below. And it could be for any industry, by the way. Because you can see there's many managers or many CEOs or many, vice presidents or you know what I mean? Many executives that have these high level roles, they don't abuse their power. Now, to some degree, they may say things that you may not necessarily agree with work-wise, but like at the same time, naturally, there's people who are not gonna abuse their power like that. Just because they're making more money, just because they got more connections, just because they got more of this. Personally, it's like if it needs to have good heart and good integrity and good morals, it's only going to multiply. There's a saying that your money basically exposes who you are. The more money you have, it exposes who you are. But let's keep it moving. So just to summarize what Kurt Burrows was just, they said one day Diddy rolled up into his Sean Combs rolled into his office basically and basically had a baseball bat and basically, signed over. He basically wanted him to sign over his 25% of the stock that he owns in the company. Now, mind you, remember, Sean Combs owns 75%. So what does that look like? Hostile takeover. Why? The question is why and then why now? What has he done to lead up to that point? Do you understand? Like, what has he done? That's not a trail. This is real. You do something to think. All right. So just in 2003, Kurt Burrows sued Sean Combs, claiming breach of contract, fraud, and other issues related to his former stake in Bad Boy. All right. Now, hear me out for a second. Charlemagne, if you're watching, pay attention. In 2003, Kurt Burrows sued Sean Combs, claiming breach of contract, fraud, and other issues related to his former stake in Bad Boy. The case was later dismissed after the court found the claims were filed too late. Not that he didn't have any grounds to stand on, but the claims were filed too late, and questions over who originally owned Bad Boy Entertainment still remain. Now, here's the problem. The problem is, what do you mean claims were filed too late? Can anyone in the comment section below let me know when it comes to business, and there's a business dispute? How can you file too late? There should be no such thing. There literally should be. In fact, for anything, there should be no limit. There should be no limit. When you're ready to speak, you're ready to speak. When you're ready, you're ready. Because mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially. But anyway, you gotta process things, man. Hmm? That's interesting. Mark Corey mentioned about about the wealth side of it. It's like basically where's the wealth coming from? But there's a lot of artists unable to explain Sean Combs' wealth. But then, as far as Craig Mack's ex-wife is concerned, you're not her husband. In that time, her husband's nominated for a Grammy, but the Grammy's fine and all. But like, where's the money? Okay, you got it from Andre Royal. So basically, no, it's true. It did happen with Andre Royal because Suge Knight also had to make sure Mary J. Blige's contract was right. Like Suge Knight is just, yeah. Suge Knight, this is why they say he's a bully or this and that. Nah, he was trying to make things right. Now, obviously, that aside, look, this is interesting how he learned that you pay the artist their advance, but you make sure the contract is so watertight to the point where you ain't getting the money, it's only me that's getting the money, or the label that's getting the money. And that's sad that most record labels are like that. It's very sad. So if you want to get into the music industry and you're a music artist, you're better off being independent, especially in this climate. You're better off being independent. You know what I mean? You're gonna have to obviously do 10 times the work, but it'll pay off in the long run because you will earn more. The value, your value will be more than someone who's trying to an art to a label because you own your masters, you own your publishing. You know what I mean? Like 100% of it. Because some are signed to labels where they don't even own all of their publishing or all of their masters at all. And even when they do get their masters back, eventually they end up selling it. You see what people are doing? They're selling their catalog. Artists that sign to major record labels get their masters back or get their catalog back, they end up selling it. Why? Because they don't know how to. They don't know how to do business with it properly. Because otherwise, why sell it? Because you don't know what to do with it. If you knew your value and knew your worth, you wouldn't sell your masters. You wouldn't sell your catalog. So anyway, that's enough me running. Okay, you're in the studio. Now you have to recruit for being in the studio. And guess what happens? Guess you're on the studio. Sean Combs. Like, it's a very sharky business. It's a sharky business. Even when Pop records songs, he paid himself. All up in the video, he paid himself. Listen, that's gotta be tough. He, Craig Mack's ex-wife literally just said it got to a point where had to end up going to her father to get money to take care of the house. As a man, as a husband, that's gonna f you up mentally to the point where you're gonna have to get to a point where you have to find a way to make money. It's mad. It's mad. Damn. You know how mad that is? Craig Mack went to Diddy to get some money, and he basically pulled out a wad of money, and then just only gave him $100 bill. You know how evil and disgusting and silly it is. You already know. That makes sense to why Craig Mack was hated Sean Combs. He hated him. Hey, Mark Curry said, and even I'll be sure even says it. But Mark Curry was asked, "Can you tell us about the skill as a rapper?" It sucks. And I'll be sure like he don't know nothing about R&B, none of that stuff. He has no musical talent. Talent. There you go. Even in this case, Matt doesn't really look as happy. But that boy will show him business. And it makes sense. I said it in episode 1. I literally said, even the name Bad Boy Entertainment or Bad Boy literally comes from Biggie. It literally comes from Biggie. It like what was that song again? I forgot the name of the song, but it's, in that song it mentions okay, yeah, give me the loot, give me the loot. I'm a bad boy. Give me the loot, give me the loot. The timeline makes sense where that will come from. Like it literally makes sense. And then if you look at how Sean Combs, Sean Combs is obviously you're talking about timeline. So Drake is like Sean Combs. They basically latch onto other people's talents, and you get and they monetize and find a way to monetize from that talent. That's what they do. You understand? No, get me. I'm not. That is what it is. That's what they do. But let's go. Exactly. Even Craig Mack's ex-wife is saying it. Yeah, Suge Knight didn't want to be in the limelight like Puff. So it makes me wonder if she's literally there when, or if she didn't say to her husband, "You might as well go over to that lady instead, because he doesn't want to do all of your videos. He's paid well." Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? The person who did protected Albie Shaw at the time was Suge Knight. You see how everything comes full circle. and he was on tour, the Heartbreak tour with Bobby Brown and New Edition, and it makes sense. You know why? Because I did hear that Suge Knight was also a bodyguard for Bobby Brown. Let's go. Ray obviously narrated that situation. Good door. You told me that good door is right good door. The other time, it's the back or not. Exactly. I like how Kurt Bowers also admitted that before Bad Boy, Death Row, that record label, Sugar Knight record label was, you know what I mean? The It was that record label to go to. Let's go. Kurt Bowers admits that there was the emulator. Bad Boy. So Kurt Burrows is admitting that Sean Combs basically wanted to emulate sort of Suge Knight's label, and like how do you make Bad Boy equal the success of? And cool, it makes sense because if you see a label that is similar, or you want to be similar, you want to emulate the success. So that's fine. There's literally nothing wrong with that, by the way. All right, there's nothing wrong with wanting to emulate success. It's how you try to go about it. That's when it becomes a bit of like, okay, you've got questions to ask. And it's interesting. Couple is okay, like they're looking after Sugar like labels are looking after their artists, and maybe are looking after artists. The question though is that all the way 100% true in regards to Sugar Knight and his label? I don't know because I've heard stories, but it's like I don't know if they're all the way true. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if they're all the way true, but you know, it is what it is. Aye, Suge Knight said, listen, so she was there, his ex-wife. So basically, Suge Knight is saying, you know what, we're gonna open up Death Row East. We're gonna open up that label. And as we're gonna open up that label, you see that this artist is unhappy over here. You know what the potential of this artist. You might as well sign him. He will be one of the first artists on the label. Because I believe also they were trying to get Eric B on that label as well. Is it Eric B or Rakim? I think it was Eric B. There was someone else. Or was it Big Daddy Kane? I can't remember who it was. There was someone else from the East Coast that they were going to sign, and they said nope. You know what I mean? Like the way, like I get it, but not for me. I think it was Big Daddy Kane. I think it was Big Daddy Kane. Was it Big Daddy Kane? I literally can't remember. Let's keep moving. The Source Awards. I got my reaction to the Source Awards. So okay, so that's where that's from. That's from the Source Awards. 1995. Like, come on, keep the door closed. Who's banging in the doors like that? Like, Eric, you're being interviewed and it's like someone banging in your trailer. All up in the videos. Dancing. Oh, be careful. The boldness of doing that in New York. And listen, I got my reaction video to the full award so for the Source Award in 1995. So you can watch that. But my question is, especially for this clip here, is how did Sean Combs, or why did Sean Combs think he was talking about him? Because later, years later, what's his name? I forgot his name. But basically, there was one other rapper producer, but Matt Skills, that's his name. He basically was saying, oh, he was literally, Sean Combs was talking about Jermaine Dupri. And he's like, if you look at it, Sean Combs, if you look at it, Snoop Dogg was also dissing, um, like Sean Combs was also dissing um, Jermaine Dupri because the brat was trying to emulate Snoop Dogg, basically. And obviously in that era, biting is such a bad thing. Like you get it. So it's like if you're biting someone's style, it's it's on, it's beef. It is what it is. It's as simple as that. So yeah, man. But yeah, Faith Evans is like extremely high in this. It's so confused, so high. That's interesting. Remember every flight. Don't care to remember every flight. It's so different. Atlanta, 7 weeks after the fourth award. Okay. Okay. So this is interesting. Club bars are saying Sean would usually go after people's side chicks or you know what I mean. But this is interesting because they mentioned about Jake. I thought Jake was also in BMF. I don't even know. That's the movie. That's the question. Damn. Damn. That's a good question. Right. Oh, if he was the person who made pulled that trigger, was he on off to allegedly? You know what I mean? I'm not gonna say the full thing, but that the way it was narrated, that's what it made it seem like. I don't know. I need to go back on that story another time because I know Suge Knight's probably talking that. I know he probably has on our dialogue platform. So we'll get onto that another day. That's what it is. Rest in peace, Stacey. Seriously. All right, Mark Curry. I hear you on the incident that happened, but that's not much like the East Coast and West Coast war. No way. No way. The reason why I'm saying that, first of all, Suge Knight already said there isn't an East Coast and West Coast beef. You know what I mean? And he also made sure he told Tupac, listen, because if you listen to that Vibe magazine interview, Tupac already said it. Suge Knight already told him, like, you know, like, I don't know, what's the word he used? It's like disciplining your little brother, like Biggie's his little brother, basically. You get it? So, and you got that side of it, and I get it. Because it's not necessarily East Coast versus West Coast, but yes, there's things that escalated within those regions with each other with different crews, but really it's just Sugar Knight versus Puffy and Tupac versus Biggie. It's just that situation. It just so happened that anyone associated with each crew was affiliated in some way, affiliated some way somehow, and they each and it's mad because Outlaws are from New Jersey. Where's New Jersey? That's the East Coast. In fact, Tupac, although he represented the West Coast, he was born in the East Coast. You understand? And partly raised in the East Coast because he was also raised in Baltimore. I believe Baltimore East Coast. So let's keep moving. Let's go. Yep, I like how whatever let's say mentioned that. Literally, they were friends, and then after them being friends, guess what happened? While they're in jail, they're limited because during jail, what did Biggie or and Bad Boy Entertainment do? They released a song called "Who Shot Ya." Come on, man. You see, like this is why I respect William and saying. It just so happened that Suge Knight had his own issues with Puff or with Sean Collins. There you go. You got two individuals who have problems with the same individual, and it just so happened Tupac needed what's the word? I want to use a different word. I'm gonna damn, this is what I should be resting. Anyway, I'll be fine. It just so happened that Suge Knight obviously had his own issues. Tupac had his own issues with Puff or Sean Combs or whatever the case is. There you go. You know what I mean? It just so happened that Suge Knight had that label, and he was able to get him on that label, or not even just that, but release music on that label, so to speak. We'll get into that contract situation for another day, another time, because as much as he is associated with that label, he wasn't necessarily signed at that label. He was still signed to Interscope. You understand? But Interscope didn't necessarily want to pay that bill. But they made anyway. That's for another day, for another time. Sorry. If you know, you know. Let's go. Yeah. The fact that it's all like different. Wait, what did Tupac just say? Overthrow the government? What? Hey yo, that literally threw me off guard. I can't even lie to you. That literally threw me off guard. I meant to say something that it's so interesting how Snoop Dogg is acting as if no one can stop them now that Tupac is on the label. Yeah, the way he moved. Again, another day for another subject. Let's keep it moving. Damn, damn. There's some people say that Tupac was the lyricist. Yeah, I need you to understand something. You weren't even rapping just then, but that wording of we're coming to the East Coast, want to show people there is no fear. And then he went on to say, we're going to overthrow the government that is bad boy. You understand? That's a double. If you understand a double entendre, and he said he's going to feed the people, because he's letting people know bad boy ain't feeding his eyes. There you go. Anyway, let's keep it moving. Let's go. Now, this is okay. This is not that. Stop the cap, Kurt Burrows. Stop the cap. Kurt Burrows, please stop the cap. That Biggie never wanted to be at anywhere too far. Maybe initially, yeah, fair enough. But from when you're allowing, and you've even admitted this, because I've heard this from when he talked about on our of the dialogue platform, he literally said out of his own mouth, obviously not verbatim, but out of his own mouth, he more or less stated that while at Bad Boy. It was Sean Combs who orchestrated the song Who Shot You to be released as the B-side record, you know what I mean? While Tupac was, you know what I mean, in his situation. And you get it? If you look at the timeline, now you can see why Tupac would be upset. You can see why he would react the way he would react. You understand? It's only logical. Anyway, and then obviously later on, you got Tupac, you got obviously Biggie. They were also dissing, so like he's dissing as well. Sneak dissing. Listen, not only that, even after the fact of in '96, yeah, after the situation, the failed incident in '96, you have Biggie dissing Tupac. Come on, man. Let's. Hey, listen. Here's what it is. Hey, William was saying, yeah, the way you just said that your cousin basically, when we're producing All Eyes on Me, he called us that I just F Faith Evans. Listen. I can get into that for another day, another subject. But hey, you think Tupac's gonna lie about that, especially to his cousin? Come on, man. And the script again, that I F the one. Exactly. Eric is right. It was just Bad Boy and Death Row. And now, if we're talking B1, former member of Mansfield Crips. Okay, so basically D1 just basically admitted because he was asked, did you provide protection for Sean Combs? And he basically said, Sean Combs was a friend. Christopher Wallace was a friend. So we gonna protect our friends. So they knew. Come on, man. And let's go. Okay. You can legit, man. Okay, this is interesting. All right, so just to give you a brief summary, they're now talking about the situation in regards to Eric Von Zip. All right. So D1 knew of Eric Von Zip as well, but Eric Von Zip is basically associated with Sean Combs, but Sean Combs told Colt Burrows that was his uncle. And listen, if you're black, you understand. Do you know what I mean? Someone who's older than you naturally, you know what I mean? Especially if they're 2 times, 3 times older than you, that's your uncle, bro. You know what I mean? If it's like a family friend type of situation, that's naturally your uncle. You know what I'm saying? And there's certain, they may have children your age, and then they're like your cousins. If you know, you know. So irrespective of Kurt Burns being told that, is what it is. Let's go. Hey, so Kurt Burns is basically admitting, yes, basically they did hire gangs. Well, they hired Mansfield Crips and Southside Crips for protection when they go to LA because they have a problem with Suge Knight because Suge Knight is basically a blood or associated with the blood. But that literally makes no sense. You know why? Because Suge Knight never admitted that he belongs to the blood set. He may wear red. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that he is a blood. Then you've got Snoop Dogg. You got the Dog Pound. Aren't they affiliated with the Crips? Let's make things make sense. All right then. Okay, did that really happen then? Because they're saying sorry, 1996 in June, William Lefane is basically saying this. It must be true from what he's heard. But again, from what he's heard, but if there's actual paperwork to back it up, it is what it is. But like when I say paperwork, I'm talking about legal documents, right? So a lawsuit was filed, but in Lake, I think it Lakeford Mall or one of the malls, someone from Southside Crips tried to take Tupac, still not Tupac, they tried to take a death row chain, and yeah. So again, it's very clear where this is going towards, right? Now we're at the part where Mike Tyson, September 7th, 3 months later, you know what I mean? Mike Tyson versus Bruce Seldon, you know what I mean? Let's go. You said Tyson fight, you want to fight? You said the guy that was with him whispered to Tupac, saying that's him. All right, so there's a name. There's a name. I'll get back to it another day, yeah. But basically, there's a name. He also, in my when I do my due diligence, yeah. When I say some people are implicated, he's allegedly implicated. Because why are you whispering in Tupac's ear? Especially in the night where it's heated. You know what I mean? Anyway, The imagery, yeah, of where they always show that Tupac situation in Las Vegas. I can't be, I don't know for certain, but with it being Las Vegas, MGM, MGM, the MGM hotel, I'm pretty sure there's more. There's literally more clips out there. There's literally more clips. You know, you get it? There has to be. There has to be more. It's the same way I felt like in the episode one, I saw it, or was it also earlier this episode? I can't remember. But basically, the image of Tupac, Biggie, and well, Tupac and Sean Combs in 1994 in November. You know what I mean? Like, I knew there had to be a video, and lo and behold, there's a video clip in this episode of this documentary. So there has to be more. There has to be more. They know who did what. You need to see who really whispered in his ear. Once you got that, okay, what did that person whisper in his ear? Where is he now? Let's go. Craig Mack was medical form. He was scared. Not because of Suge Knight, because of Puff. Probably. That's what his ex-wife said. And I believe her. You know why I believe her? Because if you think about it, it's like naturally, because people always want to, some people want to assume, oh, Suge Knight has something to do with Tupac getting. Listen, why would you want to be in the same car as, you know what I mean, of trying to do, you know, what, why? I know he's a madman at times, but he ain't that mad. You understand? He's not that mad. He's not. And here's the thing. Some people be like, oh yeah, but he wanted to start, Tupac wanted out of contract, and this is why he should know facts before assuming. If you get it, because Tupac wasn't necessarily signed to death row. He was affiliated, yes, but it wasn't necessarily signed to death row. But my question will always remain: who whispered in that guy's ear, in Tupac's ear, and why? What did he say? And what other videotape of that night in that arena? You know what I mean? What else happened? Because it's not all, it can't just be that footage we're always seeing. It literally can't be. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Yeah? But for a business of that magnitude, you're telling me they don't have that much surveillance. Come on now. Damn, that's tough, man. Cousin literally said there was people in. He was in. What he was saying, cousin was in jail when Tupac got. You know what I mean? In that fatal night, and he was saying there was people celebrating, and obviously, you know what he wanted to do? You know what I mean? But he said he's glad that nothing happened to him or to other people. You know what I mean? That he wanted to. You know what I mean? That alone will make me go mad. I can't even lie. See, listen, Kurt Burrows word for word, said, I think it. Hold on, let me rewind that. We get a word for word. Word for word. It's on now in my mature mind. Had a lot to do with the title people. The title people. Oh, this guy. You put this guy in the documentary? Craig Clayton? Let me tell you about this geezer. Yeah, let me tell you about this geezer first and foremost. Listen, yes, he's a former LAPD detective, but he, to me, and this, and now this is just my humble opinion, and let me calm down. Him, him, I feel like he was allegedly put in the whole case in regards to not necessarily to do with Tupac, but to do with Biggie, right? Hear me out now. I know this sounds mad, but the whole point was trying to get TCD to confess, yeah, to being responsible for the situation with Biggie in '97, right? Now hear me out. I know this sounds mad, but in that situation, you also got to remember why was that happening? Because Miss Wallace, yeah, Biggie's mom felt that the LAPD were partly responsible and she was suing them for $400 million. If memory serves me correct, that's exactly what was happening. She was suing them. And the only way that the LAPD could win that case is to make it seem like they're not involved. Do you understand what I'm saying? And the only reason why he's, hey, listen, anyway, all I'm going to say is ever since he's been doing documentaries and talking about Tupac more, he talks about more Tupac than Biggie. How about that? And he wants to act like he resolved the case in regards to the Tupac situation. No, you didn't. No, you didn't, because you're not mentioning about Reggie Rat. I could call him Reggie Rat Jr., but Reggie Rat Jr. Not mentioning him. You know what I mean? You're not also mentioning anyway. You're not talking about the person who Denzel Washington played in Training Day. You know what I mean? If you know, you know. Raphael Perez. If you know, you know who that's based on, basically. You're not talking about his alleged involvement. You're not talking about Dave Mack's involvement, allegedly. You're not talking. You're not talking about all these people. Let's go. Hold on. Time out. Time out. He mentioned he's part of the LAPD. The incident took place in Las Vegas, so that's not your jurisdiction, first and foremost. Now, I understand Orlando Anderson used to be there from LA. That's understandable. But whenever an incident takes place, it's all about the Las Vegas Police Department. That's their jurisdiction. The incident that happened with Tupac, sorry, the incident that happened with Biggie in 1997 was in LA. Do you see what I'm trying to say here? I could be completely wrong, but when things align the way that they are, it is what it is. Let's keep it moving now. If you hear, um, oh my days, this guy is absolutely lying. This is why, yeah, it's always good to tell the truth and nothing but the truth to help you God. The reason why, yeah, like I'm saying this, yeah, because it's like I'm listening and I'm like, yo, what is he on about? First of all, you were involved with the Biggie case. Do you understand? You made it seem like it was because of the Biggie situation. You made it seem like Keith B situation was because of the Biggie situation because of Keith B. But you also set up Keith B. That's another thing I'm not saying. I'm not saying that Keith B is innocent. No way. I'm saying they set him up. You know, listen, no, allegedly. I can get into that another day, and you know what I mean? Another day for another time. But yeah, listen, all I know is timeline. So basically, they're playing the proper agreement here. But here's the thing: I wonder if they're going to play it from start to finish. Because if you listen to it from start to finish, you see what I'm gonna say? Anyway, all I'm gonna say is this: yeah, there's another documentary, yeah, which um, Greg Hayden is in. Well, and this is where I first found out about this proper agreement. You understand? So, and it's like all I can say is there's literally evidence of timelines. So when someone chats rubbish, you can call them out. I'm looking forward to Delray Richardson calling out Craig Hayden on this situation. I can't wait. I literally can't wait. Yeah, I think it is. Here's the thing, yeah. Okay, so PCB is introduced as Eric on Usher, come to the stand, please. Come to the stand. Come to the stand. No, I'm joking. Listen, yeah. Okay, this is a very interesting situation that's happening now. What's mad is what's going on. You know what I mean? Like you got to understand. You see, when it comes down to the situation with um the connections that's happening in like after the fact, it's hard to explain. I found watch this and then I'll summarize it. He said in front of 40 Southside Crips, allegedly, that he'll give anything to the heads of Tupac and Suge Knight. Okay, it makes sense because obviously Jake is associated with obviously Suge Knight. He's thinking that Suge Knight is going to retaliate. Basically, somehow, some way, he feels that that's what's going to happen. Don't know why he felt that way, but that's what he felt. Now, I say that to say this. I can understand the sad, twisted logic to it. I can understand it because that's how revenge unfortunately happens in certain situations, yeah? However, it take matters into your own hands. So the question is, there's more to it. Because why Tupac? Why Tupac? Suge Knight, as much I don't obviously I don't understand, I don't respect it in regards to the situation, but I'm saying you can more or less come to a conclusion and understand why Suge Knight. You get it. We can understand it. But as far as Tupac, no. Tupac, we don't understand. I don't understand at this point. Because it's like, what is the difference? Oh, what? Because he called you out and you thought, you know what I mean? He called you out because he felt like you were associated with the whole situation in '94, which, by the way, is prior to the situation that happened with Jake. So it's like, now what? Okay, so basically, he's more or less mentioning about, again, the, in a different location, he's mentioning, again, he wants to get rid of Tupac and Biggie. Sorry, Tupac and Suge Knight, allegedly. I'm using the word allegedly. Okay, it's after that. He literally said it's after the record Hit 'em Up came out. Now you can understand why. There you go. Not that makes it right, but context always matters. Motive always matters. Unless they're seriously madmen, but even seriously mad people have motive. Wait a minute. Why are you putting words into his mouth? No, time out. Why are you putting words into Craig, Craig Caden? Why are you putting words into his his mouth? Let him tell it. Let him tell it how it is. So look, all right, look, we've got a timeline. Yeah, let's look at a timeline. When did Hit 'em Up come out? Yeah, I'm gonna share this real quick. Yeah. So when did Hit 'em Up come out? All right. So Hit 'Em Up. The song came out was in June 4th, 1996. Yeah. All right. So now that incident in the mall, yeah. So mall incident in LA. That's wrong. Okay. When was it? All right, so the mall incident involving the attempt theft of a chain occurred in July 1996 at Lakewood Mall. Okay, the exact day in July. Now it says July. Well, it happened in July, not June. So either way, it's literally after Hit 'Em Up. So if you look at the timeline, it clearly is a setup. Now the question is, there, who whispered in Tupac's ear in 1996 in Las Vegas? While we're here, we're gonna get Trayvon Lane. That's his name. The irony, because Orlando Anderson's nickname is Baby Lane. The irony. So one could argue, and like he informed him that he had spotted Orlando Baby Lane Anderson, a Crip Gang Southside member, with whom another, sorry, he had the altercation weeks or months earlier. Make up your mind. He captured hotel surveillance cameras, which Wiley believes to be the motive. Yeah, see, no, that's not the motive. It's the use of the chain. Now, I have a question. Where is Trayvon Lane now? Where is he? You see, when that trial happens with Keefe D, he needs to come to the stand. He needs to flip and come. He needs to come to the stand, because if he's innocent, he's got nothing to hide. Come to the stand. If you got something to hide, come to the stand. I don't care either way. You're implicated one way or the other. Like, am I wrong for thinking this? And I'm gonna use the word allegedly, but I'm just asking questions. That's all I'm doing. And these are the answers that's coming up. You understand? If in a proffer agreement, TCD literally said the conversation in regards to Sean Combs putting literally a hit on Tupac and Suge Knight allegedly for $1 million, then the case is okay. When did that happen? Just after Hit 'Em Up came out. When did Hit 'Em Up come out? Came out in June. Yeah, in June 1996. Okay, then when did and then now you have to wonder. Okay, if you fast forward to September 1996, think that that fatal incident happened. Orlando Anderson was stomped out, but okay, why was he stomped out? He was whispered to in Tupac's ear by Trayvon Lane that was the guy. But how do you know that was the guy? So you had to be there. They're aware that they stole the chain. Okay, or tried to take the chain. When did they take the chain? It was in the mall in July. All I'm doing is asking questions. That's what I'm doing. So when you put things into perspective, you have to ask these questions. You have to ask these questions. You seriously do. Let's go. If nephew gets assaulted, oh, this is the perfect occasion. Oh, that's a blatant setup. for a decoy, for a reason to be like, oh, now we got a reason to do what we want to do to Tupac and Suge Knight. No, you lot knew what was happening. You lot knew what was happening. Like Trayvon Lane, come to the table. They saying different things. No, because you kind of open it to make it look like it. Reportedly. Craig Craig Caden. Stop saying reportedly. It's either because you are police, you should just go with evidence and facts only. Do you understand? That should be everyone should really go with evidence and facts only. But this should be his. That should be the situation. Okay, Kurt Burrows. All right, so Kurt Burrows. I'm gonna read that which says word for word. Excuse me. He's saying Sean Combs requested they rent cars and have multiple drivers. That does it is fine. I then my bad. They expect it to happen. They're driving. And put this in a second of my mind. Why did we want not to drive? Why did we have to just be violent and then it's now again. It is and these police officers, where are they? Because they're the ones. Because basically, the police officers pulled over Suge Knight and Tupac, or let's say Suge Knight because Suge Knight's driving, because they were blaring the music too loud. I'm not gonna say they're implicated, but I have questions. That's what I'm doing. I have questions because how many people did they stop that was blaring music? Is it against the law to blare music? And then obviously he's mentioned, Quick Hayden is mentioning that they see these girls. Again, I'm not saying these girls are implicated in any way, shape, or form, but I still have questions. And obviously there's a police interview with these eyewitnesses there. Now my question becomes, where are they now and will they take the stand for Keith D's trial? That's all I want to know. Raphael agreement again. Keith D's mentioning the situation. He heard them say, the girl say, Tupac. There they go. And obviously, I think that's the time when I think it was shortly after the photo of Tupac where the looked like Tupac was like, he knew. He just knew what time it was. I don't know the explain. He could just tell in his eyes. But yeah. Except he gave himself away because he's basically saying that you see how he so basically the way TCB just did that was he's not blaming the girls because of them mentioning Tupac's name. If they're saying Tupac gave himself away, otherwise he would have got away. But that doesn't make any sense. You know why? You have to understand again. Tupac is not silly. Tupac is Tupac. So naturally, if someone's going to notice him, they're going to scream his name. That's what's naturally going to happen, right? That's because who he was at that time. They're going to scream his name naturally. You know what I mean? Naturally. So I don't know what he's talking about. Like he would have gone away. No. Again, I'm not silly in it. You know what I mean? All I want to say is this: everything happens. There's everything that happens for a reason. I'm not saying they're implicated in any way, shape, or form, but all I'm gonna say is the way the cards are played out. People, okay, so if there is a phone call from Puff to Zip's phone, there has to be that record right there. If that exists, there you go. Like obviously you can't really go based on he say she say. However, that could be used as evidence. But again, the key thing in this is the paper trail of the money. And also you've got to think about okay, is there also a trail into that night that happened in regards to that conversation that happened? You understand? Like can he can that be proven? I know it sounds mad, yeah. The question is, can it be proven? Okay, not D-Mac from obviously Power Book Force, not that D-Mac. Okay, let's go. Okay, so if Craig Caden is saying D-Mac, again, not from Power Book Force, but from Mansfield Quick, if he's still alive, he needs to be able to testify in court as well and CBD case. Clearly, right? Clearly. You're not expecting a cooperation from. No, no. I get what Craig Caden is saying that there's only two men left standing that could be accountable for Tupac and you know what I mean situation that face. But no, that that's not how it should work, and you have to look at it like a puzzle because it really is a puzzle. When you put all the pieces of puzzles together, you get a picture, and when you get that picture, you're able to see that picture and see it for what it is. When you take out the pieces from the puzzle, you know what I mean. The more you take out, the more it's a mystery. The more you put in, you put the pieces of the puzzle together, it's no longer a mystery. So it can't be, oh, KCB and Sean Combs the last man standing. Really? Now, if Craig Caden was a real good police, I'm not saying he is a bad one. I'm just saying he is like a great police. His investigation would be proper thorough. But like I said, his intentions were never, from my recollection, and I could be completely wrong, allegedly were associated with the case in regards to the Biggie situation. It was never to do with Tupac. Because remember, that incident took place in Las Vegas. So therefore, it's not the Los Angeles Police Department jurisdiction. That's just how it goes. Don't blame me. I'm just saying that's how it goes. But really and truly, it should be the people that should be questioned in regards to the police. It should be from the Las Vegas Police Department that are obviously retired because obviously you can't talk on cases with your, you know what I mean, with your active police. So naturally, that's what I can say. You know what I mean? Let's go. At this time of Eric, either be a second time silent for the murder of Tupac. I should have pulled that back on the movie. 6 days before Sean Combs' arrest, December 10th, 2024. Look at Diddy's son. Like he is confused. He's like, I don't know how my dad's gonna get on this situation. Shit, you know what I'm saying? That's that look there. Okay. I think that was that Mark Curry? He's saying, you remember they were in the studio and they're making a thing called Muscle Game, yeah? And it features Black Rob and Mark Curry. The song comes, I'm gonna read it word for word, yeah? The song will come in the Puffy 999. You don't have to muscle. You don't want to miss the mustard. Mark Curry, what you're thinking about. Pop literally says on the song, fuck with me, I'll drop $1 million in your head. Raise you, our family. And make it fair now. Like, oh, fuck. That's what Mark Curry said. I don't know if that's lyrics in the song, but I'm going to get into it. Another family. Marco Tough. Okay. Give me a second, yo.
All right.
Alright, so where we were, Biggie going to LA because of Tupac. Sorry, not because of Tupac, because of Diddy. Yeah, man. Yeah, they won that from LA. They won that from LA. Fair enough. Maybe they don't want to go. But Biggie, don't go to Biggie. See, look, Biggie is meant to be in London afterwards to do a press junket. And you know what's mad? It's like Richard Blackwood was one of the people that was supposed to interview. Okay, so basically, just to cut long story short, Big Kurt Bowers is calling Biggie saying you're supposed to come to London, blah blah blah. But then Biggie's like, Puffy's going crazy. He wants me to stay in LA. I don't want to say I want to go. That's what people do. That's wrong with anime. Thanks to the fact that it's going to be good. You're like, wow, that's really nice. Yeah, wow. Damn, damn. Biggie really said he was paranoid. I think someone's gonna warn by his own people. We won't hold him. Don't think it's gonna take maybe 6 months. There literally is footage of hearing of the situation that transpired. Wow, that's actually scary. And knowing what came of that, that's genuinely, genuinely scary. And the fact that they're saying that's big in them. How do you know it's big in them? That's what I want to know. How do you know? Like, how do you know? Why do you know? Really? No one got killed on this for weeks. E1 was asked, who do you think killed, who do you think underlined Biggie? Is that, you could tell in his face, he thought like it was a bit like Sean Combs. Well, from my perspective, allegedly, it looked like he wanted to kill Sean Combs, but he said, you know what? Next question. Because otherwise, why are you doing this documentary? If you are really, you know what I mean, proper cool with Sean Combs till this day. I'm just saying. And it's funny how Craig, not only is word funny, but really interesting that Craig Tatum wants to say, but when he spoke with for another while, you know what I mean? It's clear he never had no respect for Sean Combs. So the question I want to ask is, why is he, how, why was he speaking to her? For what reason now? Can you get your time? Oh, wait, there you go. Maybe you were investigating. What, was you? I have questions. That's what I got. I've got questions. So Craig Tatum basically said, if you make inroads to Biggie's situation, then you make lead roads into Tupac's situation, which leads to potentially Sean Combs. This is a former police talking. Now, if either you've done your due diligence and you investigated thoroughly to know the piece of information, or you're just playing guesswork, you're just doing guesswork. It's one or the other. And if it is the case that you've done your due diligence and you've done your thorough investigation, my question now remains, okay, yeah, you may have questioned him and other people affiliated and they were uncooperative, but that's besides the point. Some people are going to be uncooperative. It's your job to ensure that all the information, you have the facts, you have evidence. You don't just go based on words of what people are saying. You go based on evidence. And you cannot tell me that the evidence does not exist, because they do exist. But Craig Tatum needs to make up his mind. Or he's literally just doing what some culture vultures do. Latch on, realizing, okay, let me do this. It was allegedly latching on to these names, knowing that if he talks about in Biggie documentary, he can get paid. Obviously, Netflix has said, or who was it? I forgot who it was. They said no one in this situation is paid for this documentary. You understand? But they still get paid for speaking engagements, regardless, allegedly. So anyway, let's go. That's how it's literally letting people know. Trying to assert of his best friend, and his best friend, but it was free. Okay, and he said we're going to do a biggest funeral for Biggie that New York has ever seen. This is word for word. Start with the second. 25, the first, the go to the biggest funeral. For Biggie to have to pay for the funeral. That's mad. You're going to make the funeral and recoup Biggie. That's crazy work. Of course, because if we told the world that Biggie's going to pay for it, he will look like a villain that he is. A disgusting, vile piece of, I can't even call him a human. Yeah. He's one of the people you thought that you trusted for a long time, but yet you hustled him to, you know what I mean? If he was supposed to be in London, then you make sure that if he is your genuine friend, you gift him to London. If you know there's a situation that could go down in LA, and you still obviously got to do the LA circuit in regards to the award shows, fair enough. That's understandable. But you do the awards and get award ceremonies, then you get yourself out of LA. Simple. But now you insisted for Biggie to go to LA, to stay in LA. Anyway, I'll keep it moving. People have a lot of friends, you know. Of course, you said that I don't think I make a really good friend. Of course. You should admit that too. I make a lot of good, I make a good friend. Basically, Slim Carey took the role of first ever from Biggie. Biggie would make us his country. This is what Club Bars is saying. So let me get it straight. Kirk Burrows did exactly what Sean Collins told him to do in regards to changing the agreement for Biggie, even though he knew that Biggie wanted and was questioning his contract. So he wanted to follow Sean Collins' idea to ensure that he is unaware of, okay, let's do him dirty even more, but to the point where he feels like he's not being done dirty. You're a vile human being too. Simple. I'm gonna say it exactly as it is. How you do like think? Okay, good. You said that's not good. I'm not doing that. 90 days later, it's fine. Oh, good. Sometimes you have to do what you're doing it. I say back what I said. You know what I mean? Yeah, the TV moment. Obviously, performance thing. Pretty much sometimes. But once again, even Eric Sermon, I'm about to say exactly what I'm going to say. Once again, it almost feels like, but then he just did mongers, so it's like, it's true then. He became more famous through tragedy. Mad. Maybe he should have been on that cover. Also, wow, that's what Club Dollars is saying. Exactly. We got to choose the side of good. Everyone, yeah. He even knows about choosing good or bad. Yeah. I'm stay on the good side. Just for the good people. The real for real. But how you saying that when you know you're bad? Saying bad or evil. Okay, no police investigation has ever named Sean Combs as a suspect or person of interest in Tupac's Quad Studio situation. He consistently denied any involvement. All right, so that's that one, episode two. Shout out to Curtis Jackson, shout out to Alexandria, Staples, Victor, David, Bringers, and Ariel Bronzel. I can name so many names, but we're going to get to that on episode four. We'll name everyone involved, literally everyone that's possible that's involved because it's important to mention these names. But I'm going to say that to say this though. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. And yeah, let me know, like, do you think, yeah, like this is just a genuine question, yeah? Do you think, yeah, he would end up in a situation where he's remaining in jail for life? Let me know in the comments below. You know what I mean? When I say beyond 50 months, do you know what I mean? Because of that whole Tupac situation and Biggie situation. Because if what's his name, if Craig Caden, if he is to be believed, then he's sort of implicating Diddy in some way without even evidence. So, but maybe there is that evidence, but it's like figuring out the time and when to use that. So you know what I mean? Timing is everything. But at the same time, if he's guilty, he's guilty. You know what I mean? Anyway, we're going to tune into episode three. I was going to react to it today, but looking at time, listen, I need to rest. I genuinely need to rest. Yeah. So we do that. We do three and four tomorrow, right? So hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and turn on the post notifications. So when I do go live, you go to watch there and then. Yeah, yeah.